All right, in this episode, we talk about arm drag
and muscular imbalances.
All right, Brent Portia, Stephen Go down here at the @TopVelocity #PitchTips show, where you go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, @TopVelocity #PitchTips, ask your question, we answer on the show. Also baseball tips as well. Reach out to us at Snapchat. We've got a lot of cool story. Our story on Snapchat is showing a lot of what we do here. If you want to learn more, it's a good place to learn. Also, TopVelocity.net, all of our YouTube, and our YouTube channel has a lot, thousands and thousands of videos, video analysis. And if you want to learn more about 3X, 2X programs, check all that out. But we're here to answer your questions today. So what's the question for today?
Cass Kreitlow asks, what are your thoughts on coaches saying your arm drags is dragging behind?
Hey Cass, good seeing you at ABCA convention in Nashville. Really nice having Cass there and hanging out with us. And he's also came down to do the 3X coach certification. Glad to have you on board and love the questions you bring out. I guess you're just asking me, what do you think about arm drag? Now, to me, arm drag is just typically an issue, typically links to early trunk rotation. Guys who separate well give their arm time to load and go through the arm path. And what's the arm path? You can go to YouTube and search my arm path or arm action of a high velocity pitcher. And you can learn about my arm path. There's also a lot of previous episodes where we talk about arm path, arm action, all that if you want to learn that. But if we prevent early trunk rotation, if we can create more hip to shoulder separation, then we give our arm time to load properly and go through that full path. If we're quick to start the trunk, or we have a poor leg power and our trunk wants to start early to overcompensate, then it's gonna get caught in the middle of that path, and then we create arm drag, okay? And at the same time too, you can see early trunk rotators, even though they're early trunk rotating, they still can get the arm through the full path. But the problem is they're putting the throwing shoulder in so much horizontal abduction, elbow behind back, that it starts to really strain the anterior cuff and put more pressure on the UCL. You know, someone who to me's been an early trunk rotator, Steven Strasburg, but because he has such insane scap loading in that early trunk rotation, he still can get his arm through the good path, but it just puts way too much torque on the front of the shoulder, front of the elbow. So, you know, someone says arm drag could be, you could be cutting off your arm path by early trunk rotation, or you could be getting into your arm path even though you're early trunk rotating, but still that's not gonna be good because you're gonna be in too much horizontal abduction as you're going through that arm path. So that's the only thing I want to throw out there about arm drag. I understand what they're talking about, but to me that's just really correlates a lot to early trunk rotation. So that guy's an early trunk rotator to me. That's what I think it means.
Same thing. I just think it's a guy who probably doesn't have a lot of lower half power, and then I just think of a guy who's really rotational. You pretty much nailed it.
That's simple. Okay. Yeah. So next question.
Jared asks, worth it to fix muscular imbalances, such as left leg being stronger than right leg and right scap being stronger than left?
Jared, I think this brings up a good point. Typically, when we do our evaluations, which Steven does a lot of our evaluations, is guys that have imbalances like in mobility. One hip is more mobile than the other, or grip strength, one is stronger than the other. Sometimes in the grip strength, it can actually be related to alignment. And one of my partners here with Gorilla Baseball is a chiropractor, and he actually is taking a guy who was a grip strength 130 and a grip strength 90, did an adjustment, and then it went 130, 130. And that's because in the misalignment in the spine, it was pinching a nerve, not allowing the neuromuscular response or the motor unit activity to fire those muscles. So that would be the only imbalance that just needs to be fixed through an alignment issue. But the ones we typically find are in mobility and imbalances, in strength imbalances like jumping higher on one leg than the other leg, can relate to two things. It can relate to a immature athlete, meaning like never been physically strength trained or developed. That's very common. When I see guys played a lot of baseball but not done a lot of strength training, one side is more mobile than the other, or one side is stronger than the other. But typically guys that have done a lot of strength training, they have really good, a lot better imbalances, or a guy's had an injury. We'll usually ask that with most guys, have you ever been injured, when we see those imbalances in mobility. At the same time too, there is throwing, even with good strength training, throwing is going to create more trunk rotation on dominant side. It's going to create more external rotation, dominant side. It's going to create more internal rotation, typically dominant side of the hip. And those things are fine, only if it's a few degrees. Like if it gets to be drastic, then it's a problem. But that's something that we would definitely address in a strength and conditioning program. That's the purpose of the strength and conditioning program, is to develop more function in the body, which would be imbalances. And that's what we do with 3X Pitch Velocity program. The 2X programs is we work to, make those and corrections and improve and fix those imbalances. I don't know, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think you should want to be as symmetrical as possible in the mobility, muscle imbalances, and like Brent's saying, like the power output. Like Zito came in and his drive leg was couldn't jump as high as his landing leg. So those are some things that you're going to want to iron out. And then for like muscular imbalances, I think some guys just genetically and through the lifts, like Olympic lifting can be very quad dominant, like you said. So you want to be sure that you're hitting hamstring and still trying to build muscular balance there and stuff. So there's a bunch of stuff that you could do, but that's why we focus on, just not only bilateral exercises, but unilateral exercises to try to strengthen both legs and make it as even as you can possibly get it.
Yeah, and sometimes too, I even take guys, because we rotate so much to the non-dominant side as a thrower, that sometimes we can get shifting in the low spine and in the back. So I even have guys do more rotational work, maybe med ball work to the non-dominant side to help that issue, because I've seen guys have back issues, and they can be obviously related to squatting, because we do put loads on our back, and if your spine isn't perfectly straight, wherever there's a kink, that takes more loads, more pressure, and can have more issues. So we try to get those kinks out, but at the same time too, all the rotational work on top of us loading our spine puts a lot of work on the spine. It's one part of the body we beat up a lot. So sometimes adding in rotation from the non-dominant side to kind of match the reps that you've put on the other way helps as well. But we try to do that in a strength program. That would be in our med routine, our core routine, maybe putting in more reps over there. So that's usually if someone comes to me and says, man, starting to have shifting or back pain, and then we'll attack that through spinal alignment and through maybe balancing out rotation based on left to right rotation. Cool. Good questions. You have a question, go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at TopVelocity, hashtag pitch tips, hashtag basic tips. Ask your question and we answer on the show. If you haven't checked us out or haven't followed us on Snapchat, please do. It's a great place for you to reach out to us, and we'll talk to you personally. We want to help you out, answer your questions. Want you to learn more about what we do here, Top Velocity 2X, 3X programs. Come down to our camps, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Holla, we them boys. Holla, we them boys.